Hi everyone, welcome to the Pit Stop. I'm Raja, and today I'm joined by my favorite girl in the whole wide world. She is my conflama chisme, who spills the tea here at the Pit Stop every time. Welcome to the stage, to the stage. Delta work, everyone. Delta.
Hi.
Applause, applause. Okay, girl, let's dig right into this. First of all, season 10, episode 2. How are you feeling about this entire
It's so
Animal.
different than any other season, I feel like.
Is there anyone like you're already rooting for? Is there somebody that you're thinking about?
Not yet. I think they're all really cool. I will say I'm excited about how sort of outlandish the Vixen is in the workroom.
Oh.
Yeah, she really like digs around, and I don't know if she necessarily instigates yet, but I don't know if that's the fair term or if it's just that she's just kind of repeating what everyone has said so that everyone's on the same page.
The Vixen is definitely the first thing I want to bring up because after Vanessa Vanjie, Mateo, after she left, Vixen decides to bring up in the workroom this whole scenario, this whole fight, this rivalry that's already happening between Aquaria and the very lovely Miz Cracker. What do we think about Vixen's role in this? Is she instigating something? Is she playing a game?
Well, I mean, it could be any of those things. It could be, or all of those things at the same time. You're stuck in this place with these people, and if you don't have an issue with what you've said or what you've done, it shouldn't be an issue if someone brings it up.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, I mean, last episode they already started talking about their rivalry, and it's definitely a clear thing. It's something that people even online talk about, and it's the elephant in the room. Now, do we think that everyone from Chicago is a fighting bitch? Because Vixen seems to really like to claim that, and as we've seen in season 2, Mystique Summers also mentioned, I'm from Chicago, bitch.
So Vixen likes to keep saying that she's the bitch, I'm a bitch, or maybe I'm being bitchy. I don't know why you would want that to be something that you lay claim to. Because that does have a bit of a negative connotation. It would be one thing to say, I'm an honest person, but to say, I'm bitchy just because I want you to know I'm bitchy. That says, I don't want anyone around me.
Or perhaps she, before she even got onto the season, she was already kind of projecting herself into that role. She's like, if I go onto the season, I'm going to be the bitch.
Sure.
Everyone wants to have that character. I'm the ingenue. I'm this and this and this and this. And maybe she came in wanting to be the bitch?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, that doesn't really work for people because the fans decide who you are.
Ooh.
The fans will always decide who you are.
Now, how do you think Vixen would stack up against Mystique Summers?
That's tough because the Vixen is young and fast, but Mystique is big and old. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So
Yes,
it's either way.
I can relate, big and old.
And I'm big and old too.
Here we are, yes.
Yeah.
Now, I always say this, that when you win the mini challenge, it can either be a blessing or a curse. And 2 girls had to be in the position of choosing teams, and those 2 girls were Vixen and Asia O'Hara. How important is it that you get to pick the teammates, especially in a group this large, when you have to separate the sea, if you will?
This early in the competition, it kind of doesn't matter. It really doesn't because you've never worked with these people before. It's when the competition whittles down a little bit and you already know people's strengths, you already know who you can push into a corner, who is really a dancer, that kind of thing. That's when it's really gonna matter.
Okay, so let's talk about the mini challenge. Andy Cohn was brought in to help Ru with this challenge. Country challenge, they had 20 minutes to get ready. How difficult is it to get ready in 20 minutes?
Well, I mean, at this point, the girls should realize that in 20 minutes, your goal should not be to see how glamorous you can get.
No.
But just to see how ridiculous you can get.
Sure.
I mean, I feel like just use 10 minutes of it to get ready and then use the other 10 minutes to go have a cigarette. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Doesn't matter because it's more about just being wild and having fun.
Okay, so let's just move on to the Maxi challenge here. This is one of those challenges when I watch this on RuPaul's Drag Race, I always sort of cringe because there's choreography involved, there's lyrics to be learned, and you're working as a team and there's dancers and, you know, I'm so terrified of things like that. But how do you think the girls did in this?
I mean, I think they did great. I think, again, it's so early on, a lot of people can fall to the wayside. It's hard to say who did the absolute worst when several people didn't do great.
If you were competing, how difficult would a choreography moment be for you?
Horrifying.
I know,
horrible.
it would
Absolutely
suck
horrible.
for me.
I don't know if I would have on Eureka's shoes. I might have on Mayhem's shoes. Did you see Mayhem's shoes?
I did not notice Mayhem's shoes.
Oh, jeez.
Or are they biscuits?
Well, I feel like it was almost as if the front was higher than the back. That's what was happening. She didn't fall. She didn't get hurt. So that's
I did
good.
see Eureka's, though.
Yeah, Eureka, she had the ones that you roll up and put in your bra. Those are the shoes she had on. She had those on.
This episode seemed to see a lot of Eureka crying, and personally, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm like, I like to see my queen strong, like, hold your tears for a little bit. Hold it at least for the 4th episode.
Who are you talking to? I had an episode, too, where all I did was cry.
Did you?
I think it was episode 1 through, like, 6 or wherever I landed.
From my experience, and I'm sure you probably feel the same, once you're there, you don't even realize the amount of pressure. And when you're in a room with 14 people or 13 other people that you don't know, and you're in that different environment, as you said, it is very, very challenging, and it can be easy to sort of break down easy. And I hope that Eureka steps it up a little bit and that she's not such a big crybaby next episode.
You're mean.
All right, let's talk about the performances. And the main challenge.
I don't know if it's just because it's so early and so many people were kind of right down the middle. I feel like either team could have won. My favorite part of the whole challenge in general was Alyssa Edwards.
Absolute.
She needs to be there all the time.
All the time. You know, there's so much craziness in these group challenges. There's, 13 people competing, all trying to really stand out in the spotlight during this musical number, and it gets a little confusing, and my ADD just all gets in the way. And what really kind of brings it all in together for me is the runway. That part's always my favorite. I love the runway moment. So the category is the best in drag. What is your interpretation of the best drag?
Well, we saw a lot of best drag as far as some were performance looks. We saw an evening gown. We saw something sort of creative with color with the butterflies. I have go-tos. I know what my 4 or 5 favorite shapes are that I like to wear. And I, to be honest with you, don't necessarily always vary from those. I will play with the color, and I'll play with the hair, and I'll play with those aspects. But I would pick something that I know packages me best and makes me feel as confident as possible.
You're right. I think the best way to interpret that is to definitely know what works for you. Like, I wouldn't want to explore into a whole new look.
Right.
On, the day of the challenge. I would probably do something that I already knew how to work. Let's dig in a little bit on this runway moment. Okay. Were there some favorites for you?
I did. I had 3 favorites for me, and there were 3 completely different approaches to it. I loved Eureka's presentation. I thought her catsuit was done beautifully. Mayhem was one of the only ones that did sort of an old Hollywood kind of look, and I liked that. It was very clean, a very understated look. Beautiful color on her. And then I also loved Asia's look. I thought it was kind of a fantasy resort at the same time, if that makes any sense.
One of my favorite dresses in the runway was Blair's. I love the fringe on it, the glass beads and everything. But sometimes I feel like the dress can wear the queen.
Absolutely.
And it looked a little bit like it was aging her, and that it was maybe improperly fit onto her, but it was actually a really, really beautiful gown. Were there any that you thought were like your least favorite?
I will say there were people that made me wonder if that was in fact the best that they had. What does the worst that they have look like? So,
Yuha was one of those girls for me.
If you're highlighting hosiery as your thing, I don't know why you would highlight that type of hosiery, because we know where to access that. We know how much that costs. And she's too expensive for that, I think.
Monique came out and decided to do a reveal, and I didn't understand that reveal. I was like, you could have saved that outfit for another time. Also, I think the person who was the most kind of overlooked in this conversation, and I think a lot of people will sort of overlook her, is Cameron. I think people will excuse her for the first few episodes as being maybe that queen that's just, she's just muscly and she looks, she's not working it, but I really like that outfit. So Team Vixen wins the entire challenge, and we're just left with Team Asia on the chopping block. And specifically, we've got Eureka and Calorie Kardashian as the bottom 2. Do you agree with the judges' decision?
This is a case where I feel like Eureka's saving point was her runway. Even though she got lost and actually didn't do the greatest job in the challenge. Calorie, on the other hand, didn't do great in the challenge. and they didn't like her runway.
Right.
So she already had much more to prove than Eureka had to prove going into the lip sync for your life itself. So it was going to be hard for Calorie to get out of that hole, essentially, that she dug herself into.
Let's talk about the lip sync for your life. What did you think of their performances?
I thought they were good. I did still feel some trepidation from Eureka. I thought she did a great job. Maybe she was legitimately still in some sort of pain because I know her to go balls out.
For me, I could clearly see the strengths and the weaknesses in both of them, and it was almost obvious to me, very obvious to me, that that Calorie was not doing as well.
Really?
For me, I just needed to see a little bit more energy, a little bit more diva-ness out of it, and it just seemed like she was sort of marching in a figure eight the entire time. I really appreciated and loved Eureka's performance, and again, that outfit. That catsuit was sick. I love it.
Gorgeous.
Well, I want to thank you, Delta, for coming here. Every time you're here and we have these discussions, your insight is absolutely valuable and priceless. So thank you so much for all of it. And thank you, every single one of you out there who are watching this week. We'll see you next week right here at the pit stop. Thank you so much. Bye.
Hey, squirrel friend! When one video ends, just open up another one. It's called binge viewing. Go ahead. I support you.